Sarah says if you don't go see it, you're a bigot.
Don't be a bigot. Go see Bottoms.
We are rolling, and we start the pod on Sarah's face because she's better looking than I. But then it quickly goes to me. Guys, give Sarah a break. She's kind of sick. Sarah's one of those people that if she's sick, like a 2 out of 10, she feels like she's an 8 because she's a big baby. All right. On you, Sarah.
I resemble that remark. I really am one of those people. I'm like, I've got allergies. I need a day off.
But we're here, guys. We're potty.
You guys, don't listen to that guy. We are excited to be here because we are going to talk about another one of my favorite movies of the year, Bottoms.
Have you heard of this movie, guys? Are you going to see Bottoms, or are you just still obsessed about Barbenheimer?
No, we're over Barbenheimer. Nobody's even talking about those movies anymore. Bottoms is the movie of the summer. What's Barbie? Never heard of it. This is the logline for Bottoms. 2 unpopular queer high school students start a fight club to have sex before graduation. First thoughts, Assad?
Me and Sarah, and you guys will see that, watch the pod. We have a logline game coming that we're really excited about. But this logline is this is an all-timer.
It's a mess. They start a fight club to have sex.
Read it one more time?
Yes.
That's hilarious.
2 unpopular queer high school students start a fight club to have sex before graduation.
First of all, that's the most qualifiers in the name. Unpopular queer high school students sounds like a spinoff of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Unpopular queer high school students is hilarious.
Yeah, and in the movie they're like, what do they call them? Ugly and untalented.
Two U's you don't want to be. Did you ask me how I felt about this?
Yeah. What was
First thoughts?
First thoughts?
Sarah, I don't know if you're aware, but women have saved the economy this year. Do you know this?
Yes, I am aware. Beyonce,
Taylor Swift, Barbie. I think
Greta Gerwig.
Barbie's made a B. I think it's reported that Margot Robbie's going to make like hundreds of millions of dollars on that movie because of the deal she struck.
Well, she was a producer on it too.
So yes, so I was pumped to go see another a female-directed, female-led film, and I brought all that excitement from Barbie into this one, and God damn it, Sarah, it kept going, man. This movie crushed.
I'm gonna tell you, we went and saw this one separately, and I saw it at the Alamo. Where'd you see this one?
Burbank, and we did it separately because Sarah doesn't fuck with the Valet.
True. I won't go. I simply won't go. If I need something from IKEA, I order it online and wait 7 months.
Sarah had a date with Matt Damon in Studio City, and she said no.
Well, everybody knows you're lying now. But really quickly, have you ever tried to order anything from IKEA? It's so stupid. You can't order something from IKEA.
It's in Swedish.
Why? Why?
Sarah, what were your thoughts on Bottoms?
Hold on a second.
Okay,
Let me get this off because I'm very upset about it. I ordered curtains from IKEA one time, years ago, because I've upgraded to Amazon, baby. I've come up in the world. And they took like 8 months to get there because they just didn't have them in the store. I'm like, what is happening? What's happening? I'm asking you.
Oh, I'll file a complaint. I'm sorry.
Thank you so much. Jesus.
Apologies on behalf of my kid.
First thoughts about this movie. As I was saying, we went and saw this separately. Sorry about my IKEA rant, Helvig. I went and saw this movie at Alamo by myself, and I thought, there's no way Assad's going to like this movie. And he texted me, and he was like, I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah,
I was shocked.
I went with a crowd that was, I would say, predominantly female, and a big percentage of LGBTQIA plus being represented in the theater as well. And it felt like their voice was on screen. Not just that community. I'm just saying the people in the theater. It felt like their voice was on screen.
Hell yeah.
And it was almost impossible not to feel the same like humor, laughter, excitement about this film. And when I was first out of the theater, I was just like, hey, whoever made this film, whoever was a part of the writing, production, directing, give them all the money for the next project, man. I was so on board and haven't really laughed out loud in a film that much, I think, in a long time.
Crazy. That is awesome.
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
I will just quickly piggyback on that. Someone else told me that AMC Burbank is like the best place to go see movies.
It was a great experience.
because of the audience.
Yeah.
So that's so interesting because Joey went and saw, a friend of ours went and saw theater camp there, and he was like, I don't know if I loved the movie because I loved the movie or if I loved the movie because of the audience.
Yeah, guys, if you're not, me and Sarah tried to go see things opening weekend because we want to save the theaters, we support the theaters, but if you see it 3 weeks out, I know life is tough, so it's hard to schedule, but you miss that first week excitement. Theaters are packed, and movies change, guys. The temperature of movies change when you're in a packed theater of people enjoying it. It's like pretty infectious.
Yeah, that's true, and I think that's a huge part about why we love going to actually go to the movies and go to the theaters, because there was a point, it's just funny to see someone in the theater enjoying it, not enjoying it, laughing at a weird part. Like, that's the camaraderie of feeling like, we're all together here. And you don't get that a lot in Los Angeles, I think, probably as well.
Exactly. And another thing I thought about this movie, first thoughts on it, was Rachel Sennett, who plays PJ, who you guys might have seen in The Idol, who's the main in it, and Ayo Adebiri. I always slaughter her last name, I'm sorry. She's the other main in it, along with the director, who is 13 years old. No, Emma Seligman. They feel like, to me, what Judd Apatow, Seth Rogen, Jonah Hill, Bill Hader had like a decade and a half ago.
I had the exact same thought.
Yeah?
I thought there's a couple of shots that almost like really match Superbad. Like when the two of them are walking at night and the camera's, tracking them backwards. Like, I was like, this is Superbad for queer women, and I'm here for it, man. I loved it.
Yeah, and you can tell it's just they allowed everything in the writing. I heard a podcast with Emma Seligman, the director, talking about, like, they didn't even talk about story in the beginning. They just thought of outlandish things happening, and then they wrote the story around that. The outlandish things happening, like, so cool. Like, what if girls punched each other in the face at high school? But yeah, you could definitely tell the inspiration from, like, this is New Age Mean Girls, this is Superbad. The high school comedy, probably Easy A.
Easy A. Mm-hmm.
Out of the high school comedies, I need to give it some time, but it's going to be hard for me not to put this at like the very top with like Mean Girls,
I'm already excited to see it again, to be honest.
Yeah.
So just to kind of go back, and I know there's going to be so many parts that I missed, and this was another one where, I'm starting to realize from doing these podcasts, which is really fun, what I really enjoy about movies and like what formula makes me like them and what makes me not like them. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I think before I just always watched and was like, boo, I don't know why, or yeah, I like that, I don't know why. And now I'm starting to see kind of a little bit of a pattern in some of my favorite movies, and a couple of those things are a lot of improv.
Yeah.
Like casting people who are really good, who are resemble these characters a little bit, or are being allowed to bring themselves to the characters so much, and just letting them rock, and that's where the magic happens if it's done right. I walked out of this movie and I felt like it was a throwback to kind of like exactly like you said, but the golden age of comedies. Like we're kind of swinging. Do you feel that too? Like we're swinging back to that early aughts, late 90s, where people are writing funny shit. And it's weird, and it's raunchy, and it's camp, and it's queer, and it was just unapologetically itself. And I've not seen anything like, obviously I compare it to other movies, but we've not seen anything like this yet. Yeah,
and I text Sarah the Kanye meme of like, listen to the kids, man, because the director Emma is 28 years old. Ayo, I don't know how old the main characters are. They can't be older than her though. And Ayo just came off of like theater camp, which she crushed. Rachel Sennett just came off of The Idol, which she was the only funny part of that series. And I'm just like, man, these kids got it. These kids got it. I think like if we just give them the runway to keep creating in the voice they have naturally, it's going to be funny. Because we grew up with like Jim Carrey being funny, slapstick comedy.
Yes.
He falls down, he does weird faces. That's over now. I don't know if it'll ever come back, but and now comedy has been dialogue driven, right? The Office kind of made it awkward humor for a while. Ben Stiller had its run with that. And now it's like, hey, let's just put people that are funny talking about random things, you know, but let's make the dialogue as natural as possible. And these girls have nailed, these women have nailed it in this film. It's like, you can't see it and not think of what else they can create, because it's like, this is just the tip of the iceberg for this group.
Yes. And I think what we're witnessing is kind of the pendulum swinging back from, you know, for the last 10 years, all we've seen are just like, I don't know what you call it, not original IP, you know, just like properties that we already know. So we're seeing like, oh, people liked this movie back in the day. Like, everything has been very safe. And I see the pendulum swinging back the other way. The audiences are craving something fresh, something new ideas, new voices, and voices that they recognize. You know what I mean? Like you said, when you go see this movie as a young queer person today, you're like, yeah.
Yeah, that's how me and my friends talk.
Yes, exactly. And thank God, Elizabeth Banks was one of the executive producers of this movie. Exactly, right? It's like, yes, give the money to these young people who have a voice, and don't be so scared about it. Like, give them the money and have the faith, and they nailed it. Do you want to see this movie if a 40-year-old white man is writing two high school queer, you know, girls? No.
Yeah, it's kind of what I thought about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where I was like, it's good, but I can tell a 40-year-old dude wrote it. You know, this movie is like, and keep in mind, guys, in this movie they go for it all.
It's nuts.
And because they go for it all, it doesn't make any single thing they do outrageous, because everything's kind of outrageous. Like, their nemesis for a large part of the movie, spoiler alert, are the football players, right? That's an easy trope in high school. And for some reason, they're always in their football uniforms. Not just their uniforms. They're wearing shoulder pads. They're wearing cleats. Like,
there is, and they do it on purpose, right?
They do it on purpose, yeah.
There's one part where, just to piggyback on that, where one of the football players is like, says something really threatening to her, and then he like clicks off in his cleats.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of subtle. They don't like belabor the point, but you hear the cleats clicking, and she's just like, and I just thought to myself, that's hilarious. Like, why is he clicking off in his little heels, you know, like after he's like threatened her life?
And I guess we've been critical of funny movies on this pod, me more so, than I'm like, that's not funny, this is not funny. And I guess I'm a little bit of a like prude when it comes to jokes.
But in fairness, you are the king of funny. Like, you are the judge of what's funny and what's not funny.
Out of us two. But you're funny too. Well, I'm just saying, like, I see a lot of films that are attempting for the humor, and I'm like, oh man, I don't think the joke writing was there. Bottoms has a tone to it where, boy, if you're not listening to everything, you'll miss it. And the cool part about, we talked about Blue Beetle, where it's like, if you have a character that's supposed to so obviously be the comedic relief, it's kind of tough to laugh at them. You're like, let me wait. We know this guy's going to tell a joke. Let me see what's going to be funny. That's a tough situation to tell a joke in. Bottoms is like, people are murmuring stuff under their breath. It's fast paced. There's random stuff happening in the background. People are dressed weird for some reason. And even, and that's how regular conversation is. A lot of the funniest times when you're hanging out with your friends, one of your friends says something really low that only two of the friends catch, and that's funny. You know, and Bottoms has a lot of that. The jokes being presented right now are really close to how friends actually speak. And the other thing, sorry to diatribe here, Sarah, but I wanted to say that when I think 35 and 40-year-old plus people are writing comedy now, they're still probably deeply entrenched in cancel culture or woke culture.
Right, they're too scared.
These kids, they don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
They're taking it on. They're taking on everything, you know, like race, religion, politics, sexual preference. And we're in a time right now where I think that pendulum's swinging a little bit back, where we can joke about almost everything again. I know, it's tough, but people are not as scared, and these kids, these women, were not scared at all. They're talking about suicide, depression. They're black Republicans.
That was so funny. I forgot about that part. They're covering it all.
Lesbians, you know, and the only really like obvious comedic relief is Marshawn Lynch, who is a gym teacher that kind of supervises their fight club, which he does a good job. He's not really a good actor, but they even wrote some good stuff for him that made him look funny.
Well, again, I think that a lot of this, I got a strong vibe that a lot of this was improv, you know?
Yeah.
And it seemed, I got a very strong feeling too, that they had fun making it.
Yes.
And this is before I realized, when I went home and Googled, that the director was 28 years old and a woman, and I was like, yes! I love that.
Me and Sarah have a rule when we shoot just stuff for our production company, where it's like, hey, what we make is important, but not as important as how we make it. And movies like this is a reason why. When you feel they had fun making it, the movie is funner. So if you're having fun making it, it's so much easier for it to be funny, a funny product. And at the end, they did my favorite thing. You know what this is, Sarah?
I have it written in my notes.
All right,
I
we'll push on. We'll push on. I don't want to step on it.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, but no, I mean it's not stepped on. But yes, I agree. They had bloopers at the end, and I was like, every single person in my sold-out theater sat there and watched the entire credits because it was so fun. They were showing all these like outtakes and bloopers and I was like, oh, my spidey sense was right. They did have a lot of fun making this movie.
You sure they weren't sticking around because they wanted to see Captain Nick Fury, played by Sam Jackson, locating the Tesseract on Earth 2 before another universe crumbles?
The stinger, the second and third stinger.
Show me another movie.
No, man, it was like so refreshing to see that.
No, but it displays the kind of talent they had on set and the way they made the film. You get to peek in when they do that. They do a montage of like Marshawn Lynch trying a bunch of different lines,
right,
and all their other actors trying a bunch of different lines, and you get to know how it was on set and how fun it was. I really love when films do that.
Me too. And I bring it back. I love it. I think it's so fun.
Please.
And what a great idea. The other thing I thought was really funny about this movie is that, you know, you have these two young females who are like queer and empowered, and the movie is about them trying to have sex with cheerleaders.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so cool. It wasn't like overly, you know, it could have been like, and they did add a little bit, which I'll talk to you about in a minute, but they did have that one character, I guess I'm going to talk about it right now. They had a character named Hazel, played by Ruby Cruz, and she was kind of the two main girls their characters are losers, like I said, unlucky, unfunny, untalented, unattractive girls who have no chance with getting with the popular girl. Who they both have crushes on. But there's a third character who's not one of the main characters, and she's constantly kind of like the voice of reason. She's kind of following behind them and saying stuff like, well, don't you think we should empower women so that we have, you know, voices and we can, you know, it's like all this stuff, and they're just like, nah, we just want to get laid, see your boobs. It's just so hilarious. What did you think that Hazel represented? Because I was trying to figure it out. I feel like they made this like crazy irreverent movie about getting laid, and Hazel's character was like the Jiminy Cricket, you know, almost like the conscious.
Yeah, I think it's a smart idea. Normally this doesn't work for me because this is a new thing where someone has to be the moral compass.
It felt easy, right?
Yeah, yeah, but you know, nowadays where if you're talking about something that's uncomfortable, you probably have to have someone mention it to clear yourself, right? So like if we make a joke about race in a series, someone has to be there to be like, guys, we can't say that, to make sure the audience feels comfortable to know that the writers didn't like just skip over that.
Aren't
Does this make
being
sense?
assholes. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
but it didn't feel that way in this. It felt,
usually it sucks.
Yeah.
It's so shitty, but they did it well in this because she's a kind of a three-dimensional character, so it's okay when she's like, guys, this group should be about empowerment. They're like, nah, man, we're trying to get laid out here.
Yeah, it was so funny, that scene where they're going on about, I won't get too far in the weeds, but I was just made me think of that scene where they're going on about, first rule of our fight club is you can't be late. Don't be tardy. Like, do not be late. If you're late, we're going to kick you out of this club, and like going on and on and on, like really making a meal of it. And then spoiler alert, their crushes come in and they walk in. The whole point they started this was to try and get in super late. And they come in late. They're like, oh my gosh, hey guys, like welcome, take a seat, you know. And then someone, maybe it's Hazel or the other, the Black Republican girl, who goes, you were just saying that you can't be tardy. And they're like, oh, I mean, we were saying like that was for like next time, you know, try to be on time if you can. We understand things happen. It's just so dumb. There is one thing, this movie did have quite a broad and like over the top campy, corny tone. But it worked for me. That's actually why I was surprised you liked it, because usually that tone doesn't work for you. But I guess the authenticity won out for you, as it did for me. But that's why I was kind of surprised that you were a huge fan of this. But it was, as I always say, firing on all cylinders. It totally worked for me. My first thoughts were that I just had so much fun. Actually, tone is a little like those Adam Sandler movies. You know, like remember how big, was it Big Daddy? Is that what it's called? And all of those movies are just like so over the top. And like you said, Jim Carrey movies where they're just acting insane. but for some reason you're like, I'm here. I'm here for it.
It's this fusion, like this new age hybrid that they didn't take. They took the reins off in every category. So you're in this film for like 30, 40 minutes. You're like, oh, this is quippy. These guys are funny. And then females punch each other in the face and there's blood in their mouth. You know?
That was hard to watch.
it was tough, but it means they took on everything. They
Yeah.
were bold in their decision making, you know, because it definitely changed the tone, but like it didn't ruin it for me, you know.
Yeah. I'm going to jump into Rose and Thorn.
Let's do it.
My Rose goes by the name of, and please forgive me if I'm not pronouncing this correctly, Rachel Senote.
Yeah.
The one of the female leads and one of the writers as well, which I found out after the fact. It's so funny. So, you know, at Alamo, they give you this little thing before the movie, a little short intro saying from the characters or from a movie star of some sort that's just basically saying, like, keep your cell phones off. But they do it in a cute, funny Alamo way. And it was Ao, Rachel, and not sure, there was one other girl. And Rachel, even in that, when I was watching that before I knew anything about this movie, I was like, oh, she's standing out for me as someone who's really funny. Like, she was kind of, you know, just talking and improvising or whatever. And it stood out to me as I was like, oh, this girl's good.
She's damn good.
Right? And I was right.
Yeah.
Good job, me. Good job, my instincts. Because when I watched this movie, I was like, this girl, and I didn't realize she wrote it as well, but I'm like, this girl is being herself, and it is perfect for this.
Yeah.
She also worked with the director to write and star in a movie called Shiva Baby on HBO or Max. And I didn't put the two and two together, but when I saw the poster for Shiva Baby and people talking about it before I saw Bottoms, I was like, oh, I kind of want to watch this. It looks kind of interesting. It's I don't know. Now I definitely will. She plays PJ, second lead. She's funny. She's herself. I believed everything she said. It just, you know, she just worked. And I was like, this girl's fucking cool and funny and smart. And she was great. Another Rose worth mentioning were the kiss scenes. Now, this is, I guess, kind of a spoiler. If you haven't seen the movie and you don't want anything spoiled for you, then come back and watch us after you've seen it. The two main leads are trying to have sex with these two cheerleaders who are gorgeous and they're obsessed with. It finally happens, right? So they finally get to the scene where they are about to kiss, and it's both of the leads in two different scenes, and then we're jumping back and forth between them, but it's both of them about to hook up with their crush. Did that scene not just work like hell for you? I was on the edge of my seat going like, is it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen? And I was like, oh, that really worked for me. Hell yeah. Both times it worked. You know what I'm saying? Like with Kaya Gerber, when Rachel's character, PJ, goes to kiss her and she says, again, this is a spoiler, she says, oh, and it happens, and you're like, oh, they both got to kiss their girls. And she says, oh, I'm straight. Sorry, you know. It all worked for me, and I thought it was really cool how they got you like that. In this silly movie, there was this moment where you're just like really rooting for these girls, and that was my other Rose.
Yeah, I didn't have it as my Rose and Thorn, but I had it as a note.
Cool.
That out of all the ridiculous stuff happening, this movie slows down an hour and 10 minutes into it, and they have these like romantic connection moments. I'm like, holy shit, I'm in on this.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, oh man, this is actually working. I'm actually foregoing all the ridiculousness that I just saw the first hour of this film, and I'm actually rooting for these girls.
Yeah.
And
I thought another thing that they did really well was that, you know, I don't know if you can remember because it was so long ago for you, but when you were in high school,
when I dropped
little
out, yeah.
dig. When you were in high school, remember everything feeling like this is the end of my world.
Yeah.
The stakes are so high, and then the older you get, you're like looking back at those moments, or if you have any young people in your life, you're like, oh, you worry about the dumbest shit.
Yeah.
I would give anything to care about that still, you know? You don't really have any real worries, but they did such a good job of making the movie and those stakes feel just like they did in high school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, phenomenal. I'm glad you mentioned that because it wasn't my Rose, but I did have notes to bring it up.
What was your Rose, sir?
I wanted to introduce a new segment at the end of this called Stand Out. Like, what stood out the most for you in the film? Like,
Okay.
It could be someone that won it or seen it or whatever, but I guess this is kind of similar to what the rose is.
Did
you know?
Did you want to save that conversation for maybe like a meeting, or do you want to talk about it here in the podcast?
I'm very sorry. I know that you're my boss on this podcast, and I very apologize.
I'd like to introduce a new segment. Okay.
Yeah, it's not your pod, fam. I'm the face, so I don't see you up here in a short shirt.
A short shirt. It's called a crop top. It's not called a short shirt. I think that was workshopped when they named it a crop top, but a crop top was easier to say, and the k and the t really stuck with you.
My rose is Josie's love interest, Isabel, who's played by Havana Rose Liu.
Cool.
Who, I don't know what Asian she is. I got to start doing better.
Oh, Jesus, don't say that.
I know, I'm sorry.
I don't know what...
I just think it's kind of ignorant to be like, I think they're Chinese, you know? But I know, it's bad. I should take the extra time. This woman won me over so much in this film.
Huh.
I thought she was simple. She played it really simple. And then like you said, the kiss scenes were really charming. And then when they only gave her like 3 alley-oops in the film, like really short times to be good in it, and I think she crushed it. Which to me, I was like, I wish she had more scenes.
Interesting.
Every other scene, she's like just huhing and yesing and umming.
Mm-hmm.
But do you remember the scene where she's like, your friend's energy's like all, and you're just like, do you remember this
No.
scene? No.
I
She's
can't
just
see
like,
you. Maybe if I could
she's described them just with her hands. You know, she's like, your friend's rigid, and you're just like.
Oh, that's so
She's
funny.
like wave with her hand. It was like the biggest laugh for me in the film.
That's definitely how I talk too. You know,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
I don't have any words. I'm just like, oh, you know, it's like, blah.
Yeah, that's exactly how she explained it. And I just thought she was really charming. Wanted her to be in every scene. Wanted her to be in more scenes. She's
That
my
is
rose.
so interesting because I didn't dislike her or like her. I didn't think anything of her. I thought she was pretty forgettable.
Yeah, I thought she had a tough role that she executed on. Usually in movies, there's only one ridiculous person who's the comedic relief, but in this movie where there's 18 of them and she has to be the grounded person,
That's a
it's
good
tough.
point.
It's a tough job, and I think she played it straight and made simple jokes, and I'm like, that's tough when everyone's doing the most around you. Yeah, I really loved her.
Assad. It made me think of the part where, is it Ao or Io? Do you know?
I think it's Io.
Io said, we could just call her by her character's name, which is Josie. Josie goes, would you like a safety ride? She's like, this girl's fighting with her boyfriend, and it's Josie's crush.
Yeah.
And her and her nerdy friend are trying to leave this, the school, and she goes, sees Josie walking, and her friend's like, ask her, give her a ride home. And she's like, Josie, would you like a safety ride? Or whatever. Would you like a safety ride? And I was like, why would you say safety ride? That's so funny.
Specific as hell.
It's so funny. Give these girls all of their flowers.
And Io just had, it's her
Jesus.
world, man. And we're all just living in it because she's just coming off the Bear. She had theater camp earlier 2 months ago, then this. And it's just her year, man. And I look at these actors in it and I'm like, 2 decades ago, you guys would have all been in Saturday Night Live probably. And I'm glad you're not. I'm glad you're out there just making films that are with your friends that are funny to you because they're translating on screen.
Yeah, I was trying to look up if she went to Tisch.
What is that?
She went to New York,
What is Tisch?
New York University. So I was like, she must have gone to, I thought she would have gone to Juilliard. I was like, I bet you she went to Juilliard.
You know what was another funny little wrinkle?
What?
The main football player was kind of effeminate.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't really tough.
That's so funny. I did almost put him down as my thorn because he was like so cornball.
Yeah.
But then I was like, you can't write him down as the that was what he was supposed to do. He was but those moments were like maybe borderline like too much. He's like, hey, it's Jeff,
Yeah.
My thorn, and this is gonna be controversial.
Okay.
But I live for controversy in my short shirts. I didn't like Marshawn Lynch. I thought he was such a bad actor.
Well, he's a football player.
I know, which I didn't know who he was when I was watching the movie. But like, when I saw his name in the credits, I knew that was a football player. Does that make sense? Like I didn't recognize him, and people in the theater obviously did. But at the end, when I saw Marshawn Lynch, I was like, oh, that's why he's not an actor. But I was just like, oh, this guy's really bad at acting. Now, that said, it was hard to find a thorn. That was a tough pull. If I wasn't forcing myself to give a bad of this, I wouldn't have said that at all.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think if I have to have to pick a thorn, it's Jeff,
Oh, really?
the football player.
Yeah, that was my almost one. So.
Yeah, but he still did his job in it. You know, it's just everything was so good in this that if I had to pick a thorn, it's him. But I think he did a decent job in it as well.
That's awesome.
You know, the principal probably went for it a little too much. Like in the scenes where him and Marshawn Lynch are in the stands together, he wasn't really crushing it. You know?
Yeah, but he wasn't in it a ton. I didn't feel like, so that was fine for me. But I did like. That being said, you know, I liked the scenes between them. I liked the lines between them. I just noticed his bad acting.
Yeah.
Other notable moments that I really wanted to talk about because I just really liked this movie, so just bear with me. The complicated drop, the Avril Lavigne.
Oh, yeah, man.
There's a part in this movie, and I thought it was going to be, you know, like most movies where they drop a song for like 30 seconds. They let that whole shit play. I swear. I was sitting there and I was like, oh my gosh, my childhood, you know, everybody in the theater was like, oh, yes. You know that song? It's like, why you gotta go and make things so complicated? So funny. And they played the whole song. And I was like, this is just picking me up out of my adult life in LA and dropping me right back into my high school years.
Into a Spencer's Gifts.
Into a Hot Topic. And I was like emotional, edgy, like he was a skater boy. I just thought it was so...
Give us 30 seconds to a minute on what were you doing when you listened to Avril back then? What was Sarah's life like? Were you planning on an Evanescence tattoo? Give us a...
I was just singing along, and usually I was pretending like, and I still do, so let's be honest, pretend like I'm in a music video, like I am them, and I was like, one day I'm gonna get out of this small town and I'm gonna, you know.
They'll see me.
Oh, and it won't be so complicated. There was another tiny moment I'm gonna bring up, and I will be interesting to see if you notice it as well. Big spoilers.
Yeah.
Josie's crush. What's her character's name? Alice? Brittany. She gets back with Jeff at some point, right? And you see Kaya Gerber, her other hot cheerleader friend, who's...
Oh, I'm sorry. Isabel is the name, and Kaya Gerber's Brittany.
Okay. Sorry. So Isabel gets back with Jeff, and Kaya Gerber just is kind of standing there. And the whole movie, Kaya Gerber is just playing this like hot dummy.
Yeah.
You know, like she's not dumb, but she doesn't really say much. They don't give her a lot. And she gets a moment at the end that as a woman, and maybe guys do feel this way as well, but as a woman, I know every single one of you motherfuckers out there have had this moment where you're like, they just linger on Kaya Gerber's face because she sees that her girlfriend is getting back with this like shithead abusive guy. And it's really quick and it's really subtle, but she just they exit the frame and she stands there and she's like, and then she follows them. And I was like, that was so small and subtle and quick, but it was awesome.
Why?
I just thought, I was like, yes, because I felt seen. I feel like we've all, as women, have been there where we've seen our friends do these things and you're just like, all right, you know, you can't, especially in high school, like, you just go, all right, they got to make their own choices and like, here we go, you know. I just thought it was really cool.
She had a cool moment in the beginning when they're joining the club, where Isabel, her friend who she does everything with, Isabel joins, then they look to her to see if she joins. She's like, well, my identity is completely tied to her, so I just do whatever.
I mean, hilarious. Hilarious. There was another moment that I really liked that I was like, what is happening? But Io goes to this, like, older black lesbian guru that maybe I missed it, but it seemed like had never been mentioned. We don't know who she is or why she's going to her, but she just has this scene with this like older lady and it's funny and it works. And I just loved that idea of having like an old lesbian guru that you can go talk to as a teenager. I thought that scene was confusing because I didn't know who this person was, but I thought it was really cool. And then just Io does that kind of like awkward, mumbly, bumbly thing so well.
She nails it.
That she's just like, I don't think you're supposed to be talking to us like that because we're, you know, kids. But yeah, I thought those were just some other notable moments that really stuck with me that I liked a lot that I wanted to just quickly talk about. And I'm done now.
Can I ask you about where this might? I know it's soon. So, is this the best high school movie you've seen, or do you put Mean Girls above it?
Recency bias, perhaps. I know it's hard to say anything about Mean Girls because it's just become such a huge juggernaut over the years. But I thought this was really, really special. I thought it was really cool. I picked this.
Give me some other. Do you like Easy A?
Easy A I liked, but not better than Bottoms. Superbad was a high school movie, which I also really liked and thought was really funny and also groundbreaking and edgy for the time, I thought.
Was Pitch Perfect a high school movie?
Was Pitch Perfect? I think it was college.
Okay.
I think they freshman year in college, yeah.
It's really hard to nail these movies because they make a lot of. Netflix has like one every month about high school drama thing.
To all the boys I've loved.
Yeah, yeah, but when you get people who are these, I guess the like lasting idea I had when I was watching the film was like these creators, this director and the writers are just not afraid at all. And sometimes you can get someone that's very young that doesn't know fear yet in a project like this, that you're just like, oh, I want to make so bad I haven't even considered the fear. Or you have people that are like, yeah, I've considered the fear, but I just want to make this so bad. It lives inside me. I got to get it out. But when I saw this film, it was equally as funny as it was inspiring for me because I'm like, man, this is a distinct voice. They're making distinct choices in it that people can be turned off of. There's blood in here. There's men beating up women at at a pep rally. There's jokes about sexual assault in it. Like they're all women are sitting in a circle and like everyone raises their hand who's been sexually assaulted. Like,
oh my gosh, yeah. She said, who here has been sexually assaulted? And I think like nobody raised their hand or one or two. And then they go, and she goes, gray area stuff counts too. And then everybody raised their hand.
Everybody raised their hands.
And once again, like as a female, that is my experience. Like not to call out all of my friends, but like I've talked to a lot of women who have been like, some things have happened and it's like, it was kind of weird. And so it was cool that they talked about it.
Yeah, not only talked about it, they joked about it. Where it's like, when people get a voice, whatever demographic, sex, religion, creed, or whatever it is, it's interesting to know what they joke about. Like the conversations that you're not a part of.
Yes.
Because you're just not. And then you open the door a little bit and it's like, oh, I can't joke about that. But this is the conversations they're having that I'm not privy to,
Like very insider baseball and true to life and to them and to their experiences. And I thought that was really, really cool.
I want to thank the people that made this because I thought it was going to be another generic film. I honestly thought it was going to have some laughs in it. And we're going to have to pot about it. But 20 minutes in, I just felt like I was in safe hands. It's like, oh, these guys are funny, man. They know what to joke about. They know how to do it. And I had such a good time. And I wanted to ask you, can I give you a segment?
Yeah.
Let's do a double feature. What do you double feature this movie with?
Ooh, that's a great, But I'm a Cheerleader?
Oh, I don't know what this is.
It was like my very first gay movie back in, I don't even know what year it came out, 2000 or something like that. And it's, what's the girl with the really raspy voice who talks like this? And she was in Orange is the New Black, and yeah, Macy Gray. Anyways, it's her, and she's this like blonde person, and she's like, I can't be gay. I'm a cheerleader, And so
I've never heard of this. That's dope. I want to see this.
And it's campy, and it's like one of those cult classics. So that's what I would, and I really liked that movie a lot.
We can cut this if you don't want to keep it, Sarah. We're not live today. But as someone who, you starred in a lesbian-centric film, any thoughts on how far that genre has came to where we can joke about two queer women being leads that are one's white, one's black?
I'm really stoked about it.
Yeah?
I'm really stoked about it. And, the Bloomington came out, I don't know, 20 years ago. That's not true. Yeah. Gosh, I would have been 3 years old. And it was like there were not a lot of movies made like that. There's not a lot of movies for queer, gay, lesbian people, starring them just telling stories. And that's the thing I really liked about this movie was it just felt like it wasn't trying to be anything. It wasn't trying to be PC. It wasn't trying to be quirky. It wasn't trying to be crazy. It just felt authentic. And I think that's why we liked it. At the end of the day, the reason we both probably liked this movie is because it was an authentic, fresh voice.
Yeah, 100. Can't plus one that enough. And I think a lot of the time when society welcomes a new demographic, I think, whatever race, sex, creed it is, it's just like society always has a little bit of a system they go through, or like a format they go through when they welcome a demographic. Once it's popularized and everyone's just like a little touchy, doesn't want to make jokes about it, I always signify that demographic has reached maybe like the zeitgeist when you can put a queer, let's say like the queer demographic, you can put a queer woman on screen and she can be a piece of shit.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's a great point. Sorry, I just yelled. I got excited.
Yeah, when black films have to be made, it's like we have to put Black Panther on screen. He's got to be an upstanding citizen. He's got to root for everything good black. But the real progress in life is when you can put a black guy who's a piece of shit there, and no one feels guilty about doing that. Same with this. I'm like, oh, cool. They're not burdened with the having to be a good influence because they're queer women.
Yeah.
Like, no, man, we're pieces of shit. We're trying to get laid.
Yeah. I mean, we've said it maybe, and it's repetitive, but I really did think this was really fresh and fun, and I'm glad that these young women got a chance to get their voices heard, and I hope that people keep signing checks over to them and letting them make more and more things, and that they continue to be great.
Yeah, and I don't know, I hate stealing people's story, but Sarah's way too humble to tell this. But this is always my Wokeisha segment, where it's like, this is what happens when we give people opportunities, right? That represent an underutilized or underrepresented demographic. Like, we let them experiment, and they don't experiment in ways we've seen in film before. They have a completely new voice, and it's like, that's what happens when opportunity opens up. For this demographic, now this is lesbian, but I've been at a restaurant before with Sarah, who starred in a lesbian-forward film, where a waitress was like, hey, your film meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
And they had a moment, I'm just sitting there like, damn, man. Like, that's, although very funny on screen, important as well, because that ripple effect, you just never know. Like, I wanted to rap because I saw people that looked like me on TV rapping when I was young. And that's representation, So cool that it's not just like a self-indulgent film about the struggles of being queer, which is equally as important. But the freedom to be completely like who they are, and they're a queer person too. It's just like, oh man, this makes it really refreshing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, to see yourself represented on screen. Now, obviously, I don't know how many queer high school kids are starting fight clubs and punching each other in the face until they're broken and bloody and bruised. But can you imagine being like, oh, cool, there are other people like, well, you don't have to imagine, but it's like not knowing and then being like, oh, wow, there are people like me out there. Like, fuck yeah, man, good for them. Good. And what I started to write was, before, when I was making my notes on this, was thank you to whoever gave these girls money. And then I realized it was Elizabeth Banks, and I was like, great job, Elizabeth Banks.
Yeah. Thank you for making this fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
I was genuinely laughing out loud with a crowd full of people that were laughing out loud, like standing ovation when it was over.
Yeah, and it was just fun,
Yeah, and for all the movies we shit on, sometimes we can be overly critical because we're overly opinionated. It's so refreshing to get a movie that's new, not IP. It's not a sequel to something. It's not. I can't liken it to any other film. It's so refreshing, and that to me, I know we bullshit a lot on this podcast, but if I'm being serious, that's what I love about cinema. It's like, holy shit, I never would have thought of that. I never would have experienced this way of life, and it just blew up in front of me for 2 hours, and now I'm a part of it. Get to witness it anyways.
And honestly, I had seen the trailer for this, and I was like, I think this is something that I should see, but I don't think it's going to be for me. I didn't think it was going to be great. I don't love violence. So it's hard for me to watch people just like beating each other up, but I was so pleasantly surprised, and I really hope. We were lucky enough to see this a little early because we live in one of the cities that it was released in. They did a small release first, and so I believe that this weekend is when it's coming out. And it should be wide release, but I think that it did very, very well. They said it's done. Another movie hasn't. I think it did better than Everything Everywhere All at Once in its small release.
No shit.
And it was that Everything Everywhere All at Once did so well on its small small batch release or whatever they call it.
I'm gonna read this article. Do you
Yes,
mind?
the whole thing?
From Slash Film. No, just a paragraph. In what might be one of the most encouraging box office stories of the recent memory, MGM's raunchy R-rated comedy Bottoms had one heck of a debut at the box office this past weekend. The film, directed by Emma Seligman, debuted in limited release to get in on the National Cinema Day goodness. And that strategy certainly panned out. So much so that it actually broke a record held by this year's Best Picture Oscar winner, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Ooh, I hope it follows in Everything Everywhere All at Once's footsteps. That was hard to say.
I'm not sure if Oscars will be handed out to this movie, but...
Damn it. Okay, that's what I was going to say. That's awesome. Good for them. I'm really glad people have seen this movie, and I hope that people continue to go see this movie. Buy tickets, support queer voices, support young voices, support fresh voices, support women. Like, go and see this movie. It's a fun-ass time. And if you hate it, let me know.
Yeah, we rarely recommend films on this podcast because it's just like our experience in it. But can't recommend this film enough, man. Go high as shit if you want to.
Okay, so that brings us to my gummy rating. My gummy rating for this is 1 gummy. So this movie was a laugh a minute. It felt fresh, genuine. It was a new story, new perspective. I encourage everyone to go see it. And yeah, take a gummy or don't. It's going to be a laugh a minute either way. It was super fun.
And Sarah says if you don't go see it, you're a bigot.
Don't be a bigot. Go see Bottoms. Trailer trash.
Yes.
I have something I've really been meaning to talk to you about.
Lay it on me.
I'd like to talk about a movie that I am both excited about and not excited, very much not excited about.
Okay.
It's called Dix the Musical. Did you get this preview?
What did I just watch? What was happening in this trailer?
Guys, this
gets,
concerns me.
Tim Gunn, this worries me.
Guys, okay, so here's the thing. It's a musical. It's got Sarah written all over, right? She loves a musical. It's an A24 film. Got Sarah written all over it. She loves an A24 film. But it looks so bad. What do you think?
I can't get far enough away from this film.
Ooh, and it's A24, your face.
I know, I usually see everything that's A24, and maybe it's just a weird trailer because they did have some choices in the trailer, but
God,
I'm
it
cool,
looks
man.
awful.
Sarah, you're soloing pod that movie. It's gonna be all up to you. It's gonna be that and Strays back to back for just doing pod.
Oh gosh, don't make me see that movie again. I saw Strays, and I stayed for 14 minutes. Like, I just thought they wouldn't have made this movie. Will Ferrell wouldn't have signed on to this movie. Jamie Foxx wouldn't have signed on to this movie, and it wouldn't have gotten made and released and all of this far if it was that bad. So I went and saw it. It was the hurricane day. I just wanted to go to the theater. It was raining out, and I went in, and I was ready to be surprised. I was surprised at how long I stayed.
Shame on you.
Shame
on you, whoever made that movie.
I strayed from the movie theater.
But yes, Dix the Musical. Then we have Megan Thee Stallion rapping in it. Too? I'm good, man. I'm out of here.
And here's the thing that makes me feel like it's, well, the thing that makes me feel like it's going to be bad is that it looks bad. But the thing that makes me not want to see it is it feels like they're making fun of musicals rather than being like, hey, we're making a musical and we're embracing it, you know?
And you don't like that?
Fuck no, I don't like it. Why would you make fun? You're making fun of
funny to make fun of a musical, no?
No, it's the thing
Barbie
I love.
did?
It's the thing I love the most. No, they made fun of Ken.
Okay, all right.
And I also didn't think the musical scene in that film worked, if you will recall. Yeah, so it's called Dix the Musical. I think it looks terrible, 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 terrible. But we'll see. Or maybe I'll see. And
that was my, I got that too, and I was like, oh, I'm good, fam. All right, I'm gonna head out.
I'm out.
The one that I did like, though.
Yes.
Dumb Money. I know we've talked about it before. That was the best trailer I got. Shailene Woodley looks like she's doing a good job. Why do you hate?
Assad.
Yes.
Stop trying to make it seem like I hate people that I don't hate. You have a list of like Emma Stone.
You hate her?
No, I don't.
Who else?
Shailene Woodley.
You said you hated her yesterday.
No, I didn't. You texted me that she was a bitch. I did call her a dumpster diver.
Yeah. You called her Shailene Would Not. Did you?
No.
No?
Boo! What else?
That's your ass. That's your ass.
Guys, thank you for listening to the pod. I don't think we have any more surprise games for me to play. Assad, do you have anything hidden around here that I'm supposed to find?
Do you want to do like rock, paper, scissors?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I always win. I always throw scissors first, if anybody ever plays. Cool. So thank you for listening. Please go see Bottoms and let us know what you thought about it. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, supporting. I love you, Mom. And I love you guys all as well who are not my mom.
We love you, Chris.
Bye, guys.